Hi, I'm Garm and this is Midgardia's cool crowdfunding show. I'm here today with Kat. How's it going?
Hi, I'm alive and well, thanks. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. So, you're here to tell us about Rainbow Roll Fest. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
I am so excited for the Rainbow Roll Fest. Some colleagues of mine at the Be Gay Roll Dice Network, which is a podcast network focusing on LGBTQIA creators, are putting together a festival this Pride. We are gathering up 2 days worth of podcasts to share with everyone, and we're going to be raising money for mermaids while we're at it. It's a it's a big undertaking, but we're so excited.
Can you tell us a little bit about the beneficiary, mermaids?
Yes, Mermaids is a UK-based charity that kind of takes care of, protects, and nurtures trans youth. And the UK is not a great place to be a trans person right now.
Turf Island. Yep.
And yeah, it is Turf Island. And so we decided that we wanted to support them however we could. So we're taking in admission fees for people who submit, and enough of that money is going to pay our moderators and our tech staff because we got to make the show happen. Everything past that is going to mermaids. So
Right on, right on. So is this like a 48-hour live stream kind of thing, or what's going on?
Our plan is 12 hours a day, 2 days back to back. Each show is going to get 45 minutes to do pretty much whatever they want. This is a festival for actual play podcasts, by the way. Like my own sort of symphonies or my fellow committee friend Ziva's The Eternity Archives. So basically, we're going to be handing them a 45-minute block of time and say, do you want to play live? Do you want to show us a screener? Do you want to do audience Q&A? It's your 45 minutes. Show us what makes your show special. And then there's 15 minutes wiggle room and announcements time. And then on to the next exciting new show. It's going to be beautiful.
Excellent. And there's a ton of that kind of talent in the like TTRPG sphere.
Absolutely there is. And I think that it can be really difficult for AP podcasts sometimes to find listenership and to find their crowd, because there's a lot of AP podcasts. Let's not kid ourselves. It's kind of a flooded market, especially if you're playing D&D. And it can be a real struggle for hobbyists who are getting together around the mic with their friends for the first time to get in front of people, to do promotion, which many of them have never done in their lives.
Yeah, I've been at it for 5 years. 5
Promotion's hard.
long horrible years.
It's not easy. It's
No.
absolutely not easy.
And events like this are great for creators who may otherwise have, a slight bit of additional friction in some TTRPG spaces.
Exactly. And I mean, Be Gay Roll Dice as a network is kind of very obviously an inclusive space, but the gaming industry as a whole is getting better.
Substantially better than like even 2010.
Yeah.
But
it's not 100% yet.
Yeah.
And I think that representation is also super important. I think it's important for people to be able to look at a show and be like, this was made by people like me, for people like me. And that's there's something very comforting about seeing yourself represented in media that a lot of people are kind of starved for. And that's like people of color is a big one. But there's definitely among the queer community a kind of real hunger for representation in our media. And so anything we can do to help the people who are creating that representation find their audience sounds wonderful to me. Plus, I just love a party. I want to just get us all together in front of Twitch and just have a ball. So that's very, very my approach.
I appreciate you immensely, Kat. I just thought you should know.
I appreciate you too, bud.
So, what are the submission guidelines for? Like you mentioned, 45 minutes, but like, how much of your actual play podcast has to be LGBT, etc.?
Basically, honestly, if the creators are, that is, if you as a showrunner or if one of your cast members is, yeah, you're good. You're good. Your story doesn't have to be a queer romance. Your story doesn't necessarily have to be about, like, your stories are queer stories because they're being told by queer storytellers.
Right. You don't have to run
And
queers if you don't want to.
you do not have to, but if you want to, I would love to hear it because that's a big flashy game that's
It looks great.
been on my radar for a while. So I'll absolutely watch an AP of queers. It's So our requirements are basically that we've got a fee, like I mentioned, that's going toward paying our staff, and then mermaids. The people organizing this are not pocketing a cent of it. And then we've got 15 minutes. You send us a 15 minutes of your show, whether it's a 15-minute chunk or whether it's several smaller chunks stitched together into a 15-minute demo reel. Just send us 15 minutes of your show. And fill out things like any content warnings, any kind of, what would your rating be if you were on TV in the States? Because we want to have blocks that are family friendly so that people know when they can maybe tune in with kids if they want. And that's the size of it, basically. You can hit us up on Twitter at Rainbow Rollfest or at rainbowrollfest.com to see kind of more details about our submission requirements and our submission form itself, because we are open for submissions until the end of March. I'm pretty sure.
Which is an entire month from the day that this video is going up, so you have plenty of time to put that stuff together.
Let me double check.
We don't want to be spreading misinformation.
Hey, audience. I'm double checking for you. Yes, March 31st.
Excellent.
March 31st.
It's my hold music. I hope you liked it.
It was good. Yeah, it was excellent. It helped me focus and find the information I needed. So we've seen a lot of people are very interested in this, which is wonderful. We've seen shows saying to their fans, help us find a good demo reel. Help us. What 15 minutes of our show would you want to show off? And that's been really beautiful. But my real goal with this project is for the people in the audience to say, how have I never heard of this show before? It's exactly my shit. Once during the event, multiple times during the event, I want the people in the audience to find something that is a perfect fit for them.
And it's a great opportunity for LGBT community creators to, get to know each other, network a bit, all that fun stuff.
Absolutely it is. And not just AP creators, but we're planning on reaching out to game designers like myself, some makers in the community as well, and anyone else who'd kind of like to advertise. Because, yeah, I think part of making the TTRPG community a safer, more welcoming, more inclusive place is actively fostering connections between people. And to that end, we're going to gather people together and let them show off what makes them special. And I think there's going to be a lot of variety and a lot of surprises. At least that's my hope. Whenever I organize a project like this, my real dream is cyberpunk. I would love listener. Hey, it's me, Kat. How you doing? If you are an LGBTQIA person and you are involved with a cyberpunk podcast, please submit to the Rainbow Roll Fest. Thank you. Love, Kat. But genuinely, shows of all kinds are welcome. I just love cyberpunk so much.
Me too, buddy. Me too.
Yeah, the good stuff. Good stuff only, or go home.
I ran the Sprawl once, and it was a beautiful experience. I've never been the same. I think that was the first time I was like, I'm enjoying DMing. What the hell?
What is this feeling? Oh, I know that one.
Whoa, what the heck is this now? Yeah.
This is fun. Wow. So it's, and like I mentioned earlier, you don't have to worry about, like, is my podcast queer enough? If you identify as being under the queer umbrella in literally any way, that means that the stories you tell are queer stories because you're a queer storyteller. And so I think that there's this horrible paradox. Oh, I shouldn't say I think, because scholars with genuine media literacy have also brought this up. But there's this paradox of representation where because there's so little representation for some marginalized groups, there's pressure on them to always be positive and perfect and never fraught or uncomfortable, because they have to, they kind of have the tremendous burden of showing the majority that they're people who should be valued on their stories, when they just want to tell, some of the people just want to tell trashy stories like everyone else does. And so that's something that's very important to me, is like, no, if your story is messy, if your story doesn't have like a queer romance subplot in it, that's fine. That's great. Because the stories you tell are influenced by the kind of person you are.
Well said, Kat.
Oh. Yay! I stumbled a little.
You did great.
But thank you. Oh, one more thing. If we have a $10 submission fee. If $10 fee would be a hardship for you, please message me. You can find me on Twitter at @CatlinGun. I'm in a space where I can sponsor some shows, and I do not want anyone to be left out of this festival because of the submission fee. Especially if you are a person of color. If you, like, the last thing I want is for more meaningful representation to be left out of this event for a silly little reason like money. There's so many more important. Like, I will handle it. Message me and we will iron it out.
Excellent.
It's so important to me.
Well,
so far no one's taken me up on it, but
anything else you'd like to highlight about Rainbow Roll Fest while you're here?
Let's see. The story of Rainbow Roll Fest.
Tell me about the story of Rainbow Roll Fest.
I love GDQ a lot. I love marathons. I love speedrun marathons. I love charity marathons. They're wonderful events. The energy is gorgeous. It's for a great cause. It's super fun. All around good time. And I wanted to do a podcast festival. And I approached my network with it, and everyone was like, great idea. And then nothing happened. And I was like, well, thank you for the affirmation that my idea is great, but please help me, because I am a single baby. And then when Sword of Symphonies was at the New Jersey Web Fest with our network siblings, the Eternity Archives, Ziva and Dorka from the Eternity Archives came back from New Jersey and were like, podcast festivals are amazing. We're doing this. And I would not be able to run this without them. Ziva's super organized, always knows what's up. Dorka has both feet on the ground, shoots down all my pie in the sky nonsense in favor of things that are actually achievable. Genuinely could not swing this without those two. So, and we're gathering more and more volunteers. We recently had our call for volunteers, and we're getting more help from the network now that they can see that things are moving, and it's beautiful. So, I guess it's a lesson in finding the right help. Sometimes we have big dreams and we can't do it alone, but if you can convince the right people to give you a hand, anything's possible.
And that's why networking and community are so important.
Absolutely.
And that's something that this event will foster.
Exactly. More podcasts being friends. More listeners finding their perfect shows. More game designers connecting with shows that want to play indie games.
You love indie games.
You love indie games. We all love indie games.
I only play D&D 5e, only with the books officially released by Wizards of the Coast.
Oh. Well, the good news is you at least play Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. The best one.
Theros is the best one. Thank you very much. Well,
how many Loxodon are in Theros?
Kat and I are gonna go fight each other to the death off screen now.
We're about to have our very first disagreement.
All right, let's rock and roll.
Loxodon are perfect. Loxodon are flawless, and the book that introduced them deserves to be canonized.
Loxodon are incredibly good.
Yeah, I love them.
All right. Well, from Kat and I, go check out Rainbow Roll Fest. There's links below. Have a good night.
And
go.
Also, if you want to talk more to the Rainbow Roll Fest planning committee, or if you just kind of want to hang around with queer podcasters, you can check out the Be Gay Roll Dice Network. We're on Twitter at Be Gay Roll Dice, and we have a Discord, and it's lovely.
Right on.
It's beautiful. Okay, now we're gonna fight. Now we're gonna fight about D&D.
All right, fight time. Good night, everybody.
Bye.